This is Support is Sexy, episode 205. It's time to stop playing and do that thing. Welcome to Support is Sexy. I'm your host, Elayne Fluker, entrepreneur, author, and founder of Chic Rebellion Media. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, I interview inspiring women entrepreneurs who share their wins and their lessons to help you take your business and your life to the next level and create something sexy. Here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Support is Sexy. I hope you're well. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. And if you celebrate Easter, I hope you had a great holiday. I had a fantastic weekend, not only spending time with family, but I am happy to say that I finally did that thing that has been hanging over me since 2016. But it's something that I've been wanting to do my entire life. And that was to write a book proposal for a book that I really am determined to see come to life. This was the book proposal for the Support is Sexy book. Coming soon. Let's pray on that. Moment of silence. Thank you. I have been working on this book proposal since last year. In fact, it was pretty much done. I only had one more chapter to do. I may have shared this with you all before. I had one more chapter to do, and I don't know why, but I just could not push myself to do it. Something would come up, I would come up with a reason, or I would go into the proposal and just keep rereading and reworking what I already did, which you should never do. You need to get it out, do a crappy first draft, a shitty first draft is actually what they call it, crappy first draft, and then go back and look at it. But I kept going back over it and over it, knowing that I just had one more chapter to do before I sent it to this fantastic woman, this stellar editor who is interested in seeing it. I could not get through it. And if you ask me about it, I could come up with plenty of reasons, meaning excuses, for why I wasn't able to complete that thing. But this weekend, I finally did it. I went to a local cafe, sat outside. It was a beautiful day. And I focused on writing that thing. I tried to limit the distractions. I didn't work on anything else. I didn't do any emails. I put the phone away. I was listening to some jazz and I just wrote. And I let go of the idea that it needed to be perfect because it wasn't going to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect. That's the whole thing. You continue to go back. You continue to look at it. Then even when you send it off, it's going to an editor, a copy editor. All of these other people are going to help make it as magical as it needs to be. So for me to spend time and time on trying to make it perfect was not helpful. I needed to just get it out. And I am so happy that I finally did that this weekend. Now, is it fully done? Not yet. I do need to finish a couple of other things, but I'm not stalling anymore. And that's really what it amounts to. I was stalling. Now, you might ask if this was a lifelong dream, something I've been thinking about. I mean, the Support is Sexy book itself wasn't a lifelong dream, but writing a book, getting a book published, being an author, all of this has been something that, I've been writing, I always say, before I knew how to write, right? On a typewriter, if you remember those, banging out words. In fact, my family and I recently were cleaning out the garage and the attic and found some of the old quote unquote stories that I used to write when I was in the second grade and in the first grade and kindergarten on the typewriter. And it's just amazing to look back at that. But I think maybe that's really what pushed me to say, girl, you have been writing forever. This is a dream. Why are you being resistant to it? And it reminded me too of a quote that I actually posted on the Support is Sexy page from my favorite author, from one of my favorite books, really, The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. And the quote is, "The more important a project is to your evolution, the more resistance you will feel to it." Again, the more important a project is to your evolution, the more resistance you will feel to it. If you haven't read The War of Art, make sure you pick it up, download it, whatever you have to do. I read it again and again. It is a fantastic book, especially if you're a creative person, any kind of person, but especially if you're a creative person and working on something that is your art. So for me, I felt immense resistance and I gave into it. That's the thing. I gave into this resistance of doing this thing that I had always dreamt of. But this weekend, especially after seeing those things from my childhood and reminding me just of this dream and even my work from old issues of magazines where I've worked and seeing people that I've known for 20 years or so and how passionate I know I was then and how passionate I am now about continuing to tell stories. All of this to say, it made no sense for me to be resistant to that thing. But it happens because for a lot of us, and I will say for myself, as much as you want it, that fear is there of, I don't know if it's a fear of getting it or a fear that it might not work out as you plan or a fear of disappointing someone, a fear of disappointing yourself. I got to unpack that, and I can't do that all in this episode. I got to figure that out, and I'll share it later. But there's always something there, and it's human to have those feelings. The thing is, you can't let any of that stop you. Maybe you're afraid. Maybe you don't think it'll be right or perfect. Maybe you're afraid it'll be rejected, because that can happen too. You're sending out something into the world that you've created that you care about. People may reject it. Some certainly will. Everybody's not going to love it. If everybody loves it, you probably need to look at it again. But everybody's not going to love it. You got to send it out there, though. You cannot be afraid. For me, I was letting it stop me before I even sent it out. I wasn't even doing the work. And I am all about doing the work. That's why it almost made me angry with myself this weekend when I thought about, look how long I've been sitting on this. And this woman is waiting to review this for me. She has offered to review this for me as a service to me. She loves the idea. There is no reason that I shouldn't do this. So I share all this to say to you, this week, let this be your Monday motivation, all right? This week, I want you to think about one thing that you've been putting off forever. And I'm talking about something that really means a lot to you. I'm not going to say big or small because that's all relative depending on who's considering it. It is something that means a lot to you, something that matters to you, something that you've been wanting to do, or someone you've been wanting to call, or a project you've been wanting to go after, or something you've been wanting to create. What is that thing? I need you to write it down right now and say, I am going to do fill in the blank this week. Now, maybe the project won't be able to be finished this week, but if it's something that you've been stalling on, what is the next step you can take? What can you do to move yourself forward? This is the season. Every day, every second, I was going to say every minute, every second we are getting older. Time is passing by. You know that it waits for no one. As Wayne Dyer says, you do not want to die with your music still in you. You've got to release this thing. You've got to do it. If it's in you and it's been on your mind, you've been thinking about it and wanting to do it, whether it was like me since you were a child or if it's something even you just came up with last year, whatever it is, you deserve to give it a try. So think about what is one thing that you can make happen this week, one step that you can take to move forward, one thing that you can really go after with all your might, all your gusto, putting your energy into it to make it happen. You have to take a step toward your destiny in order for it to meet you halfway, right? We can't sit here and just wait for things to happen, or me just imagining and dreaming of the day that it's going to happen and not doing the work. You gotta do the work. You gotta take the step, and you gotta figure out a way to focus on this thing. I know there's a lot of distractions. There's always an opportunity to be distracted. Just think about social media. It's right in our phones, on our bags, on our desk. It's right there, accessible to us at all times. And not to mention work, kids, spouse, friends, all the other things in our lives that can distract us from this thing. And sometimes we have to pay attention to those things. But let's not use those things as an excuse. Let's get focused on the dream. What is the dream that we really want to go after? Sometimes we're busy even doing some other superficial things that have nothing really to do with the thing, or they're the ancillary things around the thing, but it's really about focusing on what is that one thing that you want to make happen. Write it down. We're not playing anymore. We're going to do it. All right. So I hope you will let me know what your one thing is. I will even help hold you accountable. I'm all about that. I'm Queen Accountability Partner. So let me know what your one thing is, or if you want to keep it to yourself, however you want to do it, but make sure you commit to making it happen. Not about discipline. It's about your commitment to making it happen. Then discipline and all of that will follow. Be committed to seeing this through. The more you want it, the more resistance you'll feel to it. Know that, but push through it anyway. All right. So for more episodes of Support is Sexy, other interviews, other conversations, you can go to supportissexypodcast.com. The site is up and beautiful and working. Everything's all good. Support is sexy, podcast.com. You can also get in touch with me at Elayne Fluker or at Support is Sexy on social media. Email me, Elayne at ElayneFluker.com. And something that would really, really be a huge help for me, whether you're listening for the first time or you've been listening forever, I appreciate you being here either way, but make sure that you subscribe to the podcast. So if you're listening on iTunes or Stitcher, wherever you are listening, please subscribe. It really helps the show. It helps us make sure that you do not miss an episode. I'm here for you 5 days a week. So make sure that you subscribe. Just go to iTunes. If it's iTunes, search Support is Sexy. The show will show up. And then make sure you subscribe. And if you love it, you can always leave a review. But I want to make sure that you're subscribed to the show so you don't miss anything. Like I said, there's a lot of distractions out there. Want to make sure that when you do go to your phone, the Support is Sexy podcast is there for you. All right, so I hope you have a great week. Of course, I'll talk to you again tomorrow, God willing. But for now, you know what to do. Go out there and create something sexy. And I'll talk to you soon. Take care.